Fearless Females. Laurelle Johnson, take one. Hi, I'm Janet Gunn here with Focus TV, and I'm sitting next to the fearless female, Laurelle Johnson. Laurelle is going to share with us today all the great tips that you need to run your own business. And is there really such thing as balance working and being an entrepreneur? Well, we're going to find out. She has incredible information, so stay tuned. So I'd love to hear what the top skills are that you need to run your own business.
Wow, there's a whole variety of skills that come into play. I think there's some top ones, and those are the ones I'm going to mention. I think communication skills are very important. When you're working with a team of people, you need to be able to communicate your vision, your mission. You need to be able to communicate how the team is going to work together. You need to be able to understand what other people are trying to tell you in terms of new ideas or a better way of doing something. So I think communication skills is top.
Yes.
The second one is surround yourself with a team of people who have different skills and knowledge than you do.
Right.
I always like to say that they invented accountants for people like me because I don't do accounting.
And don't you think it's important to know your strengths and know your weaknesses, which is one thing that I keep reading over and over again when I'm scanning over, the articles and female entrepreneurs, and just know your strengths, know your weaknesses.
I think that's good for anybody in business, is to know what you're good at. And I like to put it in terms of know your talent, gain knowledge to develop your talent, exercise your talent so you gain skills, and don't worry about what you don't know. I don't like to say strength and weakness. I like to say talent.
Yep.
Develop the talent, know about your talent, know how to deploy your talent, leverage your talent, and then find different talents in other people that can help you move your business forward. So that's how I look at it. That's what I think is important for entrepreneurs to have.
Is that team. But how do you go about building that team? So let's say that you are in your business and it's running, fairly well, and because you've been doing everything yourself,
right?
As we women tend to do. I'll do it. I got it. Multitasking.
Yes.
But what do you suggest? How do you go about finding a really good team for what you're doing?
Well, I was talking with somebody this morning and I said, men start businesses as a team. Women start businesses alone.
Never thought about that.
So you may want to start your business as a team. And you want to find people, again, that are going to complement you, not compete with you in terms of talent and knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So when I started my business, I realized I need someone to do my books for me. So I went and I found an accountant and a bookkeeper, and also somebody who could give me some good financial advice in the process.
Of course.
And he's part of my team. Now, it's not that he's full-time or I pay him full-time, but I listen to him and I go over the numbers with him and I say, all right, where do you think, here's this next idea, where do you think my money is best spent? All right.
Okay.
And so that's what you can build as a team. Now, for people working in your business, do not hire your best friend. Rule number one,
don't hire your best friend.
Because you won't be best friends.
Yes, that's understandable.
And don't hire your newest best friend either.
Yeah.
Because we women, we tend to get so enthusiastic and we go for it. And then it's what I call the 3-month wonder.
Okay.
The interest lasts about 3 months and then you're done.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you're legally bound to this person. So I think when you have an idea, you want to find people with a skill set. So for example, some of the clients I work with are starting a online business. So you need somebody who understands technology.
Yes.
So you want to find somebody that you can communicate with, that speaks English to you, is also motivated by what you're doing,
right,
and has that necessary skill set. It means you can sit next to them in a meeting, you can listen to them in a meeting, you don't have to do what they're doing.
I think that's some really good advice, is to find someone that can actually speak in a way that you understand.
Correct.
That's very important. I'm learning that.
Right. It's the communication skills that I talked about in the beginning. And communication skills are also listening and asking clarification questions. Like I worked with a client recently and I said, I don't understand this. Can you educate me?
Yes.
So I think women sometimes don't like to say, I don't know, right? Because Our families look at us for everything.
Yeah.
So we're the answer lady, right?
Yes.
And the thing is we're not. We're not supposed to be.
Yeah.
And so this leads me to my third skill that I think is very important is delegation.
Delegate.
All right?
Yeah.
So we're used to doing the laundry, cooking the meal, getting our kids to do homework, or maybe taking care of our spouse.
Mm-hmm.
And we tend to think we can do it all.
Yeah.
And the worst thing for an entrepreneur is to do it all.
Yes.
I heard a horror story recently where a woman started a business with her daughter, and it took off so big and so hard that the family is going on vacation, but she's not because she has to work in the business.
Right.
And my advice to her would be get help. And you have to develop talent. Again, communication skills. You have to develop people who can take over for you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the worst thing is you're lying in bed, you've got the flu, and no one's going to run your business for you.
Right.
I recently read a blog. I just read a blog where a woman got breast cancer, and she runs her own business. And at the end of her description of how she went through her therapy and chemotherapy and everything else, she says, I made it through my journey because I had help and support in my business.
Yes.
Now, what does that mean? That means she hired somebody to run it for her while she went to battle for her life.
That's right.
And now she has successfully won the battle. So what is she coming back to? A whole business, a business that is still functioning well.
Right.
So kudos to her.
Yeah, because don't you think a lot of people, well, I would say, don't you think women say to themselves, but they're not going to do it like I do it, so therefore it can't get done, which is not true at all.
Well, then you're known as a despot, a dictator, just do it my way, a control freak. And our leaders of large corporations aren't control freaks. They understand how to hire great talent and let them go do what they do best.
Right.
Remember, you're hiring people with talent that are different than yours.
Yes.
It doesn't matter how it's done. Of course, you have your policies and your principles and you have your measures, but they can go off and do it themselves. And chances are they're going to do it a whole lot better than you.
Yeah.
And at that moment, you say, I'm grateful. I am so grateful somebody did it better than I.
And don't you think, too, that if you're doing it yourself, let's say that you want it to look exactly like you want it to look, well, then how can it grow?
It can't.
So it makes sense to have your team with you, because then you can grow in all sorts of ways. You go in all directions instead of one direction, which is your direction, which brings me to ask, let's talk about stalled revenue. So I see these people, some friends that I know, they have companies, they're doing great, but they're stalled. And what do you do to get to that next level, to get up to that next, break that next ceiling?
Right. Well, I think a perfect example is Apple right now. Everybody's worried that they're not selling more iPhones than they expected to sell. So I think every company goes through a period of growth and then they stall. And how do you get to the next phase of growth? So one thing I always recommend to my clients when we're working on stalled revenue is let's look at the numbers. So if you're in a product business, what are your best sellers? Okay, what are the ones that aren't selling? All right. Once you know that, then you go and you say, where are you trying to push the product? Is it through social media, advertising? Do you have relationships with large distributors? Let's take a look at the numbers. Then let's take a look at your distribution change. Then let's look at your team.
Okay.
And you have to have all three aligned in order to continue doing it. If you don't have bestsellers anymore, you have like maybe 20, get rid of the 20, stick to the 21st, that's creating 80% of your revenue. All right. Then you want to look at your client base and how many of those are repeat clients. Those are your starred clients. Now you can create a upsell or purchase, incentive for your best clients to do something, to buy from you. And then you want to look at your team and say, okay, who is standing in the way? Who is really trying to break through here? But the answer is you have to talk to your team. You have to listen to your team. Communication skills once again.
And then also communication skills, because I know that you're married and you have children, so you have your family and you work. So is there such thing as being an entrepreneur and having any balance?
It depends how big you want your company to grow.
Okay.
As we know, you can have all the balance in the world, but then something throws everybody off. Child gets sick, there's a downsizing at work, perhaps a deal didn't go through that was expected. You know, life happens.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I like to debunk the myth that there's balance. There is no balance.
Okay, I actually like hearing that.
Okay.
That's a relief.
There's no balance. There's no balance. I mean, my kids are grown and gone out of the house, and they said, "Oh, we're coming back on this day, Mom, for the holidays." And I'm like, "Could you come the day before?" Because, you know, when they walk into the house, Mommy this, Mommy that,
Yeah.
I'm like, why am I Mommy all of a sudden? You guys seem to manage your lives very well on a day-to-day basis without me. Why, when you walk in the house, is it Mommy this, Mommy that? I think the biggest thing I had to train them on was, Mommy, where's this? Mommy, where's that?
Yeah.
Honey, where's this? Honey, where's that? And I really had to train myself to say, I don't know.
I don't know.
But did you see it? Nope. And you have to say it in a very neutral tone.
Mm-hmm.
You can't say, I don't know.
Right, just a very honest, calm manner.
Right. And so it's training the family to say, there are times when I am not available.
Yeah.
Unless you're bleeding or dying.
Yeah. Well, that's some good advice. And that's, like you said, that's the way you work with your team. And your family is your team, right? You want them on your side whenever everybody's doing their passion and working, and you're an entrepreneur, so you need a good team. And I think it's best if it starts at home. That's great advice.
It has to start at home because, you know, you're doing that to support your husband.
Right.
You're doing lots of things to support your kid.
Mm-hmm.
We forget that they support us too.
Yeah. Are you seeing a rise in female entrepreneurs?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. And I also see a rise in future entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs.
Uh-huh.
And I think that women want to have a sense of control over their destinies.
Yeah.
And in corporations, they've organized themselves so well that you're given a job and that's your job.
Mm-hmm.
And I think women are far more, they call it multitasking. I like multi-talented. That's the word I want to use.
That's good. I'm going to replace multitasking with multi-talented.
Yeah. And you get to choose what you like to do best at that moment in time in your own business. Whereas in a corporation and you're working in a job, there's a narrow scope.
Mm-hmm.
If you go out of it, somebody's go, oh, now you have an argument on your hands, you know, sort of a territorial fight on your hands. So I think more and more women want that sense of freedom, control, and excitement of knowing that they can do more than what they're paid to do.
Yes, that's perfectly put. And it's exciting to be around people. It's exciting to wake up and go to your team and be around people who can help you be better and help grow your business. And and like you said, I mean, being in charge of your life, whatever in charge means to you, but there's a wonderful freedom that comes with having a passion, and really the business is being just your creative self.
Exactly.
So I think that's a lovely
and I think
passion.
Not even just creative. I want to debunk the myth of creativity here.
Okay.
There are some people who are excellent at executing.
Mm-hmm.
If you are the creative, go hire that person who can execute really, really well. Because I think not all of us have 1,000 ideas.
Yeah.
I think some of us are excellent and have fabulous skills in being able to put an organized business together. Right? Now, I learned how to do that. I don't ever want to do that again. So I'm going to work with the person or hire the person who knows how to do that for the business.
Great.
And again, you go to talent. What are you good at? What do you love to do? Why are you, what gets you out of bed in the morning all excited?
Right.
You know, for me, it's working with entrepreneurs, male and female, and helping them develop those communication skills and helping them understand, pushing back a little bit and saying, whoa, here is where we fell off the cliff that stopped the revenue. And finding those little moments that then can be adjusted very easily without a lot of pain.
And also, I know that you're fluent in French, and so you now have managed to take your roots and work it into your business and you help a lot of people who are coming over with their visas and setting up shop, and because I'm guessing there's a whole other way of doing business here than in Europe.
Absolutely. I think Europe has a very old, ritualistic way of doing business, and their laws are very different than ours. Let me give you an example. In Europe, you cannot copyright software. You cannot copyright codes because they don't have litigation system as we do here. So a lot of entrepreneurs who are writing software or have an app come here, and then they can copyright it here.
Great, I see. I understand. Yeah.
Okay, so that's one of the differences. The other is that Europeans take their time getting to know people before they'll do business with them. We in America were very transactional, back and forth. Okay, we can do business together. You need what I've got. Okay, let's do the exchange. We got it. We understand each other. And this is a bit daunting for Europeans. I also think that language gets in the way and culture gets in the way. So language denotes culture and culture denotes language. So when you're speaking with someone, let's say from France, for example, they have a different set of expectations as to communication or settling in or how people behave or should behave around them. And one thing that's very difficult for them is how they are presented, présenté. And so it's presenting someone, you know, there everything's done through networking and connections. You know, the idea of cold calling or approaching someone they don't really know with an ask is like beyond them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's very against their culture.
Very against. And, you know, they want to behave well because they're putting your reputation on the line. So, you know, there's a lot of little nuances that have to be adjusted. I think the value that I bring to some of your Francophile clients is, one, I speak fluent French. My parents were French. I saw the difficulty in adjustment here to our culture, but is really helping them write that business plan and the financial plan that's part of the visa application that helps them get what is known as an E2 visa. And the beauty about that visa, you got to love it, is that they have to hire 3 to 5 American citizens as employees.
Really?
Is that amazing?
Who knew?
Who knew?
That is amazing.
So it's an investment visa, and I just think it's like the coolest thing going, because everything is vetted very carefully by the U.S. government, and they're coming here to work.
Right.
You know, they're coming here to make a life for themselves. Yeah. And so it's just a fabulous thing to be part of.
I love it. This is such great information. Yeah, this is wonderful. You know, before we wrap up, I always like to ask my guests 4 questions. So I'm going to ask you today, what are you grateful for?
I am grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my husband, and I'm grateful for my 2 children. And I'm really grateful for the lifestyle that I've been able to create for myself outside of a corporation. It took a lot of hard work, but I'm really grateful for it today.
I can tell you have the skills to do that.
I had to develop them. I knew nothing when I started, trust me.
Wow, it's hard to believe, but I believe you. And then tell us something about you that we would never know from your resume.
Gosh, that's a lot, because I leave a lot off. I'm a sci-fi fan.
Are you?
I love Star Trek. I love Star Wars.
And what's your morning routine look like?
Morning routine, very important. I wake up slowly. I let myself be in that twilight zone between sleep and awake, because a lot of my great ideas come that way. It comes in whole speeches sometimes, and I just let it run through my mind because I know it's getting into my memory and that I will be able to recall it at some point. Then I get up, I make myself coffee, I pet the cat, and I read a newspaper. I am not on my computer until about an hour and a half after I wake up, or my cell phone.
That's good advice.
It can wait.
Yeah.
All these tools are invented so that you can have control of your time.
Yeah.
Your tool cannot have control of you.
And then if you could hold anybody's hand today, whose would it be?
My husband's.
Oh,
no question about it. I would hold my husband's hand. I love to hold his hand.
That's so
He loves
sweet.
to hold mine. So that's whose hand I would hold.
I love that. That's beautiful. Well, I can't thank you enough for all of this information. You are truly helpful. And we will have all of Laurelle's information on the show. So if you need to get in touch with her, you will be able to do so. This is valuable information. I really appreciate you sharing all this.
Oh, well, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I love to share. I think that the world of female entrepreneurs is exploding, and the more you can find people to help you and give you good information, the more, you're lining yourself up for success. So it's really been a real pleasure on my part as well.
Oh, good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I hope I see you again.
Absolutely.
I love this. Maybe we should do part 2.
We should do part 2.